Hello and thank you for joining us. This is Sibongile Jambo with This Week in the News. A look at some of the main news. Malawi gets 302,400 doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines. Minister cautions against vaccine mix-up. President Lazarus Chakwera fires his advisor over allegations of smuggling in 93 billion kwacha loan authorization bill to Parliament. Ncheu tragedy, which claimed 21 lives on Sunday, creates 60 orphans. And Vice President says preparations for Zodiak summit, which Malawi is hosting from next week, are on course. Now the news in detail. We start with the story that the country on Saturday received 302,400 doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines. And the Minister of Health, Kumbiza Kandori Chiponda, said that vaccine administration staff will ensure there is no mixing of COVID-19 vaccines, as the country will, for the first time, administer two different types. The 302,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccines, which came through the Kamuzu International Airport, is a donation from the U.S. government. Chimwempadata covered the story.
The first of its kind Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine has arrived in Malawi. 302,400 doses of the vaccines are expected to be dispatched in various centers by next week. We should understand that the COVAX facility has given Malawi these doses to assist in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. Malawi has not been spared by this pandemic that continues to take toll on lives of many people across the globe. But Malawi is also expecting additional doses of AstraZeneca in the next 2 weeks and a new regimen of Pfizer. All these vaccines are contributing towards efforts that Malawian government is trying to combat the COVID-19 vaccine. We should know that the 192,000 doses of AstraZeneca were used up in just a few days. There are expectations that the Johnson & Johnson doses that have just arrived today will also be used as it was with the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines. From Kamuzu International Airport, this is Chimwemwe Padata.
Still on COVID-19 vaccines, on Tuesday this week, the Malawi Electoral Commission MEC became the first public institution to instruct its employees not to report for work if they're not vaccinated for COVID-19. The Electoral Board's Director of Media and Public Relations, Sangwani Mafulirwa, confirmed the development, adding that the instruction applies in all the MEC offices across the country. He emphasized that the Commission's stand is that getting vaccinated is in the best interest of the employees. Alex Banda gave us this report from Blanta.
Bungo loyendesa chisankho la Malawi Electoral Commission MEC laperekatu chitsogozo chokhwima pa nkhani yokhudza kubayitsa katemera wa COVID-19. Lolemba mkulu ofalitsa nkhani ku bungweli
A Nation newspaper expose. The pastor and Nation's Msowoya of the Ministry of Finance were arrested on Tuesday. Andrew Viano filed this report.
National Police spokesperson James Kadadzera has confirmed to Zodiak about the arrest of the pastor, Martin Tom, and another senior government official, adding that they will appear before court Wednesday. Kadadzera further says the two will answer the charge of abuse of office and making false documents. The arrest follows a story carried by Nation newspaper which said some officials had a hand in smuggling a money bill to Parliament which sought to borrow 98 million euros, which is equivalent to 93 billion kwacha, for construction of houses for security personnel in the country, bypassing necessary means. Meanwhile, President Lazarus Chakwera has fired Pastor Tom as his advisor. State House Director of Communications, Sean Kampondeni, says this follows investigations that were launched over the matter, which established that Pastor Martin Tom had a hand in the whole saga.
State House Communication indicated that the President was following up on the allegation that a bill was presented in Parliament without following the regular procedures and without sanctioning by the President.
by members of the child reference group in Lilongwe, where they complain that some chiefs sit on such cases. And about 30 children from the ages of 7 to 17 had an interface with the minister, senior government officials and other stakeholders from civil society where they expressed their concerns. Innocent Kumchira filed this report.
In this statement, we would like to bring to your attention the following. 1. Every day, girls are experiencing sexual abuse or harassment. Some boys too experience sexual abuse. Orphans and girls are staying with their stepfathers are the ones who are suffering most.
13-year-old Asimenye Maria making one of the captivating speeches at this event where children through the children reference group are submitting a communique. They are here to demand change. Her petition is on requesting immediate action in cases of sexual abuse, and it is addressed to the Inspector General of Police and copied to the Lilongwe Child Justice Court. The 13-year-old girl says the problems children face comes from their own communities and from people they know and trust, such as chiefs, relatives and parents. Maria says even reporting such matters to chiefs does not help matters, as some chiefs sit on these cases and in most cases they respond that they cannot do anything on issues within a family. Speaking after receiving one of the petitions, Minister of Gender Patricia Kariati gave an immediate response. She says with immediate effect, people in the country must stop reporting sexual offences to chiefs.
Yeah, the chiefs are not supposed to do that. They just go immediately to police.
Save the Children Country Director Kim Kochi is asking for swift justice to children that have been abused.
Children today said when there is a perpetrator in their community, they don't feel safe. We have to make sure that these people are locked away and that they're locked away for good.
Director of Community Policing and Rural Police Unit, Aubrey Nyirenda, presented latest statistics of sexual violence. In 2020, the country recorded 105 cases of rape from January to June. This year, 117 cases have been reported the same period. Likewise, in 2020, the country recorded 926 defilement cases. From January to June this year, 1,193 cases have been recorded.
You're watching This Week in the News here on Zodiak. We'll be right back shortly. Stand by.
There is that one companion who has always been there for you. The one who was present to hear your first words. There for all of the initial steps.
$302,400 doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines. Minister cautions against vaccine mix-up. President Lazarus Chakwera fires his advisor of allegations of smuggling a 93 billion kwacha loan authorization bill to Parliament. Ncheo tragedy, which claimed 21 lives on Sunday, creates 60 orphans. And Vice President says preparations for SADC Summit, which Malawi is hosting from next week, are on course. Moving on, this week began with a tragedy. Last Sunday, A terrible road accident happened and 21 people lost their lives, to be precise, 18 women and 3 children, all from Chikwawa. Our reporter Masozi Kasambara went to attend the funeral ceremony and came up with an interesting angle in which he reported that the tragedy created 60 orphans. Chikwawa District Commissioner Ali Pidi, in whose jurisdiction the deceased hailed from, said the council will soon embark on a social protection machinery for survivors and members of bereaved families to cope with the aftermath of the tragedy. Here's Masozi Kasambara.
Sekeni village on the outskirts of Unchalo Trade Center is grief-stricken. Of the 21 people who lost their lives in a Sunday Nchewu road accident, 12 came from this area, 6 from Ilovo Sugar Company lines, while 3 hailed from Mungabu area. Village Edman Hanogi, a father of 7 who has lost a wife in this tragedy, says he's failing to come to terms with the reality of the tragedy. The traditional leader says his voice is muted on how to describe the catastrophe that has hit his family and village at large. District Commissioner for Chikwawa, Ali Piri, warns that failure to provide psychosocial support to survivors and close relatives to the deceased would see them stuck in one event that would impede their progress in life.
We are planning to visit the families so that we kickstart our social protection machinery, beginning at the village level up to the district level, where we are going to help them, help the families cope with what the tragedy that has just happened to them.
According
the drama artists were held at the St. Montfort Catholic Parish in the city. Happy Njaramano filed this report.
artists bidding farewell to Eric Mabedi by demonstrating some of his characters, caring and loving. This was at the CI cemetery in Blantyre on Tuesday, where the body of Mabedi has been laid to rest. It was a funeral ceremony that brought together politicians and artists. MacArthur Matukuta, former president of the National Theatre Association of Malawi, has another description of the departed talent.
He was very passionate about drama. He was very passionate about organizing things, and he is the one who has made the National Theatre Association to come together. He was building up National Theatre Association to higher standard.
Artist and Culture Minister Dr. Michael Usi says government has deliberate policies to groom upcoming artists to fit the shoes of the veterans.
We need to promote culture so that it shouldn't be a phenomenon that is embraced by people from the village only, but it should be a phenomenon that is about Malawi, because culture is about us, what we do, what we eat. It's about us. Born on 21 June 1963, Mabedi died on Monday in Blantyre and has survived with a wife and 2 children.
And beginning Monday next week, the country will start hosting the Southern African Development Committee Zodiak Summit. Vice President Saldos Chilima said preparations for the summit are on course, and he spoke Wednesday during an inspection tour aimed at checking the levels of preparedness ahead of the summit. Zodiak and Anguo filed this report.
Just few days to the big event, the 41st Zodiak Summit. And in just few days, the road from Kamuzu International Airport will become busier and hotels filled as delegates will start arriving. On his arrival from the United Kingdom, President Lazarus Chakwera asked Vice President Lazarus Chilima to head the preparations committee. And Wednesday morning, Dr. Chilima was already down to business, inspecting the level of preparedness for the event, which will kickstart on Monday, 9th August, and end on the 19th this month. According to the Vice President, so far so good.
There is very good progress. I would say that on a scale of 1 to 10, we are at 9.2. The airport is almost done. The road, I think, very minor works left. We need to do some painting, especially on the road, this Capital Hotel road that connects to Chayamba. And I think when they finish off this, I would say that in the next 48 hours, we'll probably be at 99%.
The 2021 Zodiak Summit is expected to have a positive effect on the country's economy, and the Vice President Lazarus Chilima believes this is also a beautiful opportunity for the leaders to admire the beauty of our country.
We now go to sports news. Taonere Banda and Nanafe Pua will represent Malawi at the 2020 Paralympic Games, which will run from 24th August to 5th September in the Japanese capital, Tokyo. The two Paralympians were unveiled on Wednesday at Kamuzu Institute for Sports in Lilongwe. Gender, Social Welfare and Community Services Minister Patricia Kaliati said government will offer support to the two athletes, whom she described as a huge motivation to fellow youths with disability.
The two Paralympians are currently in camp at Police College in Zomba under the tutelage of former renowned athlete Agnes Chikwakwa. During their unveiling ceremony at Kamuzu Institute for Sports in Lilongwe on Wednesday, Malawi Paralympic Committee President James Chiutsi said the two are highly motivated to collect medal at the event as they went through a tough and rigorous qualification campaign, which saw them with a standing stiff competition during qualifiers held in Morocco and other countries. Chiutsi said Taonere Banda, who made his maiden appearance during the 2012 Games in London before winning bronze in Rio and Dubai respectively, and Arinafe Pua, who also represented the country at the Region 5 African Union Sports Council Games in Mozambique earlier this year, are a rare gem of talent and motivation for fellow disabled athletes.
Every other athlete looks forward to getting to this stage. It has encouraged people. There are even other athletes who have never dealt with. They are now approaching us. These athletes, this is not their first time to participate in international events. So what we're telling them is, we are all humans. They shouldn't go there fearing anybody because they have done it before. There will be more countries there, but basically, internationally, these are guys that are well exposed.
Gender, Social Welfare and Community Services Minister Patricia Kaliati says the two athletes deserve recognition for their efforts to excel at the expense of challenges such as discrimination and stigma.
What our own as well as Enough is doing is to encourage even the parents that persons with disabilities are able people, that they can do even whatever we cannot even do it. Telling us in a number of ways. One, in the funding programs, but also some of the parents who are not even taking their children seriously, those with a disability, and that person with a disability, they can also do more than what some of us can do.
Taonere Banda, who was born in 1996, runs in the 1,500 meters, whilst Arinafe Pua runs in the 400 meters.
And that's about what we had time for in this edition of This Week in the News. And before we go, a look at the headlines. Malawi gets 302,400 doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccines. Minister cautions against vaccine mix-up. President Lazarus Chakwera fires his advisor of allegations of smuggling a 93 billion kwacha loan authorization bill to Parliament. Cheo tragedy, which claimed 21 lives on Sunday, creates 60 orphans. And Vice President says preparations for SADC Summit, which Malawi is hosting from next week, are on course. Visit our website zodiacmalawi.com for more news. This is Simongini Ziambo. Goodbye.